Hi, everyone. It's Tara Miller and Lisa Erlandson from the Research Rave Syndicate. And we thought we'd go through a little bit of our own quilt research and give you a taste of what the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing in Cincinnati at our first Research Rave. Lisa, are you feeling like you're ready to get going?
I am. I've got this not beautiful quilt behind me. And sometimes we name our quilts, and this one had a really obvious name. Wait, let me get out of the way. Clarence.
What a
Clarence.
name.
Yeah. So I call this quilt Clarence because it was made for Clarence. And the funny thing is, shout out to Cindy Reynolds of Cindy's Antique Quilts. If you guys don't know her, you should check her out. She knows the kind of quilt I like. And so she tried to sell me this quilt for like 3 years. And I looked at it and I was like, no, that's ugly. I don't want it. And so, then it was like, and I don't want to pay that for it. And it was like, so the price would go down. And it's like, I still don't want it. And finally, after 3 years, she goes, seriously, Clarence needs to come home with you. And she
She
wore
wore you
me down. And it was like, okay, all right, come on, Clarence. Bought Clarence, brought him home. And then it's like, okay, this is a cool quilt to research. I'm
down.
going to share so that people can see the whole quilt here.
Okay, cool.
Let me let me get this shared and get this going. Okay, hopefully we see this. Okay, so this whole quilt, it says on it Clarence E. Fisher. And then across the other direction, it says great grandmother Lanker and has a date on it that I can't read right now. It's 78th year 1895. Okay, so it's one of those, it's like, all right, either Clarence is 78 or great grandmother is 78, one or the other in 1895. So I thought, A, why would a family let this go?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's got two people in a family, I'm assuming, Clarence and his great grandmother's names on it. So it's like, why would you let it go? And so I wanted to find out if what answer is there for that? And then also it's like, okay, who's Clarence? Who is Clarence? So there's a little bit closer, and most of the people that are watching this would realize, hey, you know what we do? Let's hit Ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
How hard can this be? Clarence E. Fisher. You have no idea how many Clarence E. Fishers there were. You
Really?
narrow it down to like 1895, like way too many.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
if at first you don't succeed, back up, look at it again. And it's like, well, I don't know great grandmother Lanker's name, but I know that apparently in 1895 she was 78 years old.
Mhm.
Okay, so I did a search on that, and it's like you do your math. It's like, well, she would have been born about 1817, and so put that in. Bingo! I find Hannah Lanker. See if I can. Um, well, here we're going to go to him. I find Hannah, and when I find Hannah, then I find the connection to Clarence. So Hannah Lanker was the grandmother of Clarence's mother, Adela. Found him. And so then I find out that Clarence is born October 19th, 1894. So hey, you know what? I'm going to give a thumbs up to great grandmother Hannah because it has often taken me a lot longer than just from one calendar year to the next to finish a quilt for someone. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, so she wrote on this, 1895. So all right, you were 78. Baby Clarence was like a year old. So now I'm on my way, and it's like, all right, now I just want to find out everything I can about Clarence. And so I start out, of course, with Ancestry. Now that I, zeroed in on the right Clarence Eugene Fisher, I can figure some stuff out. So he was born in, and I'm gonna say it wrong because not, I don't know the Oniko? How would you say that?
Necco? I would say Onecco, but I don't
Okay.
know.
Anyway, Illinois. And
Mhm.
it is way up here on the north border. Um, it's actually 1.25 miles south of the Wisconsin-Illinois border. So it's like really, really far up there. And it's a very tiny little unincorporated area. And it's north of a little larger town called Orangeville. I think I can say that one right, probably. Orangeville, Illinois. So there is that. And it's like, okay, well, now let's skip over to Google and see. It's like, what can I find out about this? It's obviously a very rural area. And so I would think, okay, flashback to 1895, it wouldn't have been any different. It would have been maybe more rural, but and this is not Clarence's barn. This was just a beautiful picture that I found on the city or the township website. And here is a picture overlooking Orangeville, Illinois. And so what I found out from Ancestry, building a portrait of Clarence, he was an only child. His maternal great-grandparents, Hannah, that was great-grandmother, were both born in Pennsylvania, and they were first-generation Americans, having their parents having come over from Germany. And so all I know is that by 1870, they had moved from Pennsylvania to Illinois. Still don't know why, because that would be cool to know. It's like better opportunity, more land, just wanted to go further west. I don't know. But their oldest child, Solomon, was Adela's father. So to keep that straight, it's like Hannah and then her son, Solomon, Adela. Adela is Clarence's mom. So we
Got it.
got that. I should make a chart that has that on there. And
Okay.
paternal grandparents, because I can find all this out still on Ancestry. Paternal grandparents were John Fisher, born in Pennsylvania, and Sophia. Um, so that would be his grandmother, his paternal grandmother. She was born in Prussia, which is very cool because that doesn't exist now.
Mm-hmm.
And so she moved from Illinois to Illinois from Pennsylvania. They also moved. So it's like the whole family up and moves on both sides. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So there's a close up. There's great grandmother Lanker. And we see what we've got here. Yeah, great grandmother. I don't know why I've got that in there. This is giving everybody a good close up view of it. All right, so I leave Ancestry because it's like I've learned everything I can, and I hit newspapers.com, because we can find out a lot on Ancestry or on any of the other websites that give us census data,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't really fill in their life.
Mm-mm.
And so I can find out a little bit, and I don't expect anybody to be able to read this. I just put it in here. Great grandmother Lanker died in 1903. So she died not, really, Clarence was not terribly old when she died, but he had the quilt,
Yeah.
and that was his great
Mhm.
grandmother. Okay, so um, then the next thing I find is that his father died. Clarence's father died in 1906. So he would have been, like 10 or 11 years old when his father died. Only
Hmm.
child, his father died. His father and uncle were in a dairy business together. And so I put this on there because it's like, I thought this was really interesting, about the will. It's like all of the property is left to his widow. Well, that makes sense. But if she remarries, then She doesn't get any of the stuff.
She gets nothing.
She gets nothing. And it's like, and I like this, it's like, the son is mentioned even though he's a child. If he dies, then she gets all the property, even if she did remarry.
Huh?
So it's like, okay, I know that's all just legal stuff, and maybe that was really normal, and I don't know, maybe it's still normal, but it's like, no, if you remarry, you get nothing. We'll give it to your son, though.
Right.
So anyway,
I wonder how common that was in that time
I
period.
don't know. See, and that's something that if I'm just trying to get a good um, overview of the life and times
Hmm.
of Clarence Eugene Fisher, I should find that out because it's like, was that some kind of normal thing or did that mean something in their family?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, not to be soap opera-ish, but it's like just because it helps you understand. Um, when I'm looking at all this, I'm still trying to figure out why do I have Clarence's quilt? It's like, why is Clarence on the market? So anyway, moving on to other things that I found. Um, this was his draft registration card. And what I love on it, it's like, okay, his hometown was Winslow, Illinois, which is still yet another tiny little community, all in that little area up there. And I can it tells me that he has light hair, blue eyes, and is tall. Yay. Okay. I don't know what he looked like, but I know what he doesn't look like.
He's tall.
He's tall and he had light hair and blue eyes. Okay. All right.
By whose estimation? And now,
I
like,
guess his, because he's filling this out, or I don't know,
uh,
if it's been the draft board people.
I wonder if there was a scale and it said, if you're between this height and this height, you're short. If you're between this height and that height, you're
Yeah.
me. I
Yeah.
wonder if they gave them some kind of uh key like that.
I don't know. Well, there you go. There's one more thing for me uh, to check out. And I like that,
Hold.
who is, who do you support? Who are you responsible for? And he just says mother. He doesn't have to give her name, anything. And then somewhere on here, I think, oh, do you claim I love this. This is right here down on the bottom of the first page. Do you claim exemption from the draft upon what grounds? On account of mother.
Oh,
Not my mother, on account of mother. I
oh,
mean, he was her sole support.
right. Yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
And this was
course.
all, and I've got a date here, June 5th, 1917. So it's like, okay, I can kind of tie that into, into world events, World War I.
Absolutely.
Draft registration. So kind of cool. All right. So we know that now that Clarence took care of his mother.
Well,
Oh, he's a good boy.
hang on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. This has his date of birth in 1895, which is the date on the quilt.
It does. And on the ancestry stuff, it has October 19th, 1894.
I wonder which is correct.
You
Was
know
he
what? I had
fibbing
not
so he
noticed.
could get out of something?
I don't know. I don't know. Um, you know what? That's a good question. I'm gonna have to double check and see which is right. Though I will tell you, my father-in-law wasn't sure which year he was born. It was like either one year or the next.
Yep.
Because I was like, what do you mean you don't know what year? But he didn't know what year he was born.
My grandfather also, that he didn't know whether it was not 18, 1919 or 1920 until years later. And this is
Yeah.
my paternal grandfather and my paternal grandmother, I mean, in the 80s, found his birth certificate.
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's like if somehow you didn't have your birth certificate and things could just get mixed up.
You're,
But I'm gonna double check that because honestly, I had not noticed that.
well,
But
he was born in a house in a
huh?
rural
Uh-huh.
area where they just didn't
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't they didn't have the hospital there to note it. you know? Interesting.
Yep. And so enough, I see he's single and he's Caucasian,
Yeah.
over here, tall, medium build, blue eyes, light hair,
And he's not bald.
and he's not bald because
I
he has,
think that's so interesting that bald is an option on the draft card.
well, other than that, I mean, like color of hair, skin. I mean, that's so, that's interesting.
Bald?
So that they would, I don't know, that they would put that. And so, I don't have a picture, but I have some visuals, like I said, to tell me what he's not. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, my next step then is like, okay, I now know that he takes care of his mother, that his father died when he was young. And I think I've got stuff that I don't think I have on these slides that there was some legal action between his mom and his uncle ended up with the dairy. But sometimes, once again, I don't know if that's bad legal action or if it's just like she had to sign it over legally to him. And so,
Right.
once again, this isn't complete research. This is just like I've stuck a few toes into it and need to, you know, get in deeper. So,
Yeah.
but Clarence led an active life, little newspapers, especially, uh, you know, years and years ago, you would have like your social events, your social page. And
Mhm.
so I would have, I could find things and it's like, okay, well, here's some couple that had had a surprise 25th anniversary and they list the people that, were in attendance and his mother. Now her name is Adela, but they call her Della in this. So her, Mrs. Della Fisher, Clarence Fisher. So, he was there, accompanied his mother. And
Yeah.
I find other things. He was active. In farming. Well, let's see this, um, business callers in Winslow, Victor Wells and Clarence Fisher were business callers in Winslow. So they were in Winslow on business
Yeah.
on Friday. And I'm not going to pull up the next one yet. But, so it's like, and I've got others that it's like he went to like some kind of farming convention, so he was active in farming.
Yep.
He was an active guy. And so what on earth, once again, why do I have this quilt? And so then the next thing I found, and oh, heads up, guys, this is like we take kind of a sad turn here.
Mm.
In 1934, July 26th, Clarence is in the hospital in critical condition from heat prostration, like he had a heat stroke.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I
So
know.
young. He's only about 40,
Yeah,
39, 40
yeah,
years old.
39 years old. Yeah. Or, hey, wait,
40.
he could have been 40, he could have been 38, we don't know. But I think somewhere else it tells me that he was 39. Um, but that was on July 26th. And so, it's like I find this and then here I am looking, I'm like, oh no, Clarence, what happened? And then I find out here, that this was the full page thing, which those of you that aren't familiar with newspapers.com, it gives you like, you can read the whole page, which is great. Sometimes it's hilarious to read the ads,
Yeah.
and the want ads and just all the classifieds, everything. But anyway, so it does say he was 40. He passed away at his home, um, caused by an illness, following an illness caused by a sunstroke suffered a week ago. And so we know it was July, and it tells a little bit about him here, uh, that he, you know, I don't know if he attended the Methodist church, but that's who conducted the funeral and the cemetery that he's going to be in. And hey, look, I get another little tip here. Um, he must have been a member of the Odd Fellows fraternity down here
Oh,
at the bottom.
yeah.
See?
Yes.
And I haven't dug into that to see what that helps tell me. But I mean, it's like this stuff is kind of dramatic in these days when they would put stuff, but it's like his mother is the only surviving relative, his father having preceded him in death in 1906. So I'm beginning to see why I have a quilt.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't even say he had cousins,
It doesn't.
you
And
know?
they note her name as Agella instead of Adele.
Yeah,
So there's
I
another
know.
name spelling, which we often find in
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
newspapers of incorrect spelling. So
Hey, even in census reports, because
yeah.
the people that were the census takers, and especially let's say that you were a first generation American,
Hmm.
you may still speak with the accent of your parents. And
Yeah.
between that and maybe not great spelling, or not great writing, the translations that end up, in print for the census can be vastly different than what it is. So it's like it's always really it's good to be able to bounce things off people and say, oh, you know what? I wonder if it could be, and just find things out. And of course, here's his headstone at the Orangeville Cemetery. No, I haven't been there, but I kind of want to go.
Yeah. Well, now you kind of feel like you know him. And there's 1894. So he's still not sure, or they're still not.
But that would have made him, well, it really wouldn't have made him 40. They said 40,
Mm.
but it really wouldn't have made him 40 if he was born in October and he died in July
July.
or the 1st of August. Yeah, he died August 1st. So I don't know. Apparently, see, that's something else. It's like, okay, we have conflicting information like on four different counts here. So and then just to wrap up the story about him, because his mother was still alive. So now we have her dying. And one great thing about the old newspapers is a lot of times in the obituary, they would tell you why they died. It wasn't just they died and we've got to respect their privacy. She died of pneumonia.
Mm.
And it does say that she's got two sisters and a brother. And she was a member of the Methodist Episcopal Church. Um, but the pastor of the Orangeville Evangelical Church is going to do her funeral. So who knows? But we do have other people here, but so I don't know. I don't know where the quilt was from uh, the time she passed away until I got it a few years ago in the 21st century. It was somewhere. So maybe it did go live with one of her siblings. I don't know.
Maybe. I wonder if any of them made their way to Oklahoma, because I know Cindy of Cindy's Antique Quilts, who sold you that, is in
Mhm.
Oklahoma.
Her family's from Illinois though, so she would go back
Oh,
to
so
visit
she,
Illinois a lot. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's right. But yeah, so there's there's what I know about Clarence, and you know what's really cool, just us sitting here talking. Now I see it's like, okay, I do have information, but there's still more layers that I can go to. And it's not like I'm expecting to find a diary written by Clarence or his mother or anybody that tells me, oh, any deep meaning about the quilt. But the more information that I can attach to this quilt,
Yeah,
more meaningful the quilt will be for the rest of the future.
absolutely. I think it's also interesting to me that she wrote great grandmother Lenker on the quilt instead of
Mhm.
Fisher. She
Well,
used her
no,
maiden
she
name.
was a Lanker. She was a Lanker.
Yeah.
She was his mother's grandmother. So it's like it was her, then her son who was a Lanker, and then Adela Lanker married Joseph. Is that what?
Got it. Okay.
John, sorry,
Right.
John Fisher married, yeah. Um, but yeah, but I thought, I mean, it was so funny because I thought, well, how many people could there be named Clarence Fisher?
Right.
It was like you get on there and it's like, holy cow, why is there more than two? There was, there were a number of them. And even if with the E in there, it's like, okay. So I'm glad that I had another route to go because there wasn't anything else on the quilt that would tell me um, any of that.
No,
So thanks, great grandmother Hannah, for being proactive and putting all this information on a quilt. It's like, hey, she didn't have a label, but she did the same thing. Um,
that's
and
even better than a label.
yeah, and it's a chocolatey grade brown. Um, that I'm not really familiar with seeing this I like in a lot of other quilts.
No,
And
and it's a
all solid.
solid,
Yeah, all solid.
which is I think it's unusual that it's that color brown in a solid.
I do too. I do too. And I mean, I don't even know if back then if they were making like boy color and girl color quilts. I don't know.
I don't
Um,
think
I,
so.
I
And
don't even,
if they had been, it would have been different than it is now because I think wasn't it World War II or something when pink became for girls and blue became for
one
boys?
or two, yeah, one or two. Yeah, because
One-
pink was a color for boys because it was close to red, and red was the fiery spirit of boys.
Oh, I didn't know that was why.
Yeah,
But yeah.
don't ask me where I know that from,
See,
but it could be wrong.
no.
Um, it's an interesting, it's like if this information wasn't on the quilt, there is no way I would date this 1895. I wouldn't know what to date it. I would probably date it like like 1920s or 30s.
Oh,
So it does on the back, it has, hold on.
yeah. What's on the
Back
back?
it has a bleachery mark, which yeah, you can't see that at all. Not even one bit.
Oh, I
Um,
can sort it.
Barely, but it says the Duchess Bleachery in Wappinger Falls, New York. So it's like
Oh my gosh.
it's nowhere from like close to them, but that was where she got the backing fabric. I don't know, did she mail order it? Did the dry goods store in the area carry that? But that was one of the largest textile mills in that time period. Let me see if this is any better.
So there's another thread to follow as
Yeah,
well.
where would you have gotten that? See, and it's backwards,
Yeah.
because she wanted to hide it, but
Huh?
that had the marking on it, just like us with our selvages. So she had it backwards, but still you can read it, if you're in person. Sorry, can't read it on a screen terribly well. But yeah, and so it's like that's a clue. And it's like that clue might help. Hey, is there somebody out there researching the Duchess bleachery or backing fabrics and where they would have come from? Because if so, give me a shout. Uh,
Right.
I will send you much better information than this.
I'm struck also thinking as we started just talking about where that backing fabric may have originated and how she came to be in possession of it
Mm,
to use for her backing, I started thinking about what does that fabric on the front tell us? And my first thought is to have it's not scrappy, right? So we
Not
know that
scrappy.
this is yardage that
Mhm.
she almost certainly bought for the purpose of making this quilt.
I would think so. I mean, and
And
there's
she had enough money
a
to
lot.
purchase a good bit of
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of it in here.
So can we then, it seems to reason that we could then assume that they were well-to-do farmers, that they weren't
Or at least they were above the scraping to get by level. Success.
right,
You know what? I don't like well-to-do. I like successful.
successful. Okay.
You know,
I can do
and
that.
you know what? My just in the 21st century, successful in farming is kind of like a lot of other uh, small businesses. One year you're great. The next year there's a drought, and so
Yeah.
this could have been that they were having a really good year. But I need to look and see if it tells me anything about great-grandmother Lanker and her husband Jacob, great-grandparents, um, no, I'm sorry, Moses. Jacob was someone else. Um, uh, so Moses and Hannah, I wonder what his occupation was, if he was also a farmer, because see, what we know is that Eugene's dad had a dairy, and then that he went into farming. So, which in that area, that might have just been what it all was.
Right? Probably.
And I had this other thought that I don't know, I can't find the information out there yet. Um, I would assume that he went to school. I can't find anything about if he graduated high school or not, because back then that wasn't a guarantee that everybody continued on through all, all 12 grades.
For sure not. Yeah.
I would love to know what town he went to school in, and if
Mhm.
by chance they even had like a picture of the whole school. They wouldn't have done like senior portraits or whatever, but would that not be cool if I could find like a school type picture?
Yes.
Clarence.
That would be super, super
Yeah.
cool. I would also, I'm interested in getting more ideas about their financial
Mhm, mhm.
position in the community, and I wonder if you could find advertisements from the general store or the dry goods store from their town or immediate towns that said anything about, hey, we've got this great new shipment from Wappinger Falls,
Yeah,
or
right.
we've got this great new shipping of plain cottons
Mhm. Yeah,
selling at such and
because
such
yeah.
cents a yard.
Yeah, because I've got, I've got the newspapers that covered that area. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, I can't remember if it was one or two, but it might have just been one little area newspaper. But yeah, yeah. And that's kind of that, like I was saying a while ago, that's fun reading to,
Yeah.
to go through and look at them page by page and just see what all they have.
And
And
it'll get you sucked in so fast.
oh, I know. Then all of a sudden, it's been like 3 hours.
I was gonna say six.
Well, and hey, is this not why we started talking about having a research rave in the first place? I'm gonna close this out
Yeah,
so that we can oh,
I love that painting.
me too. It's one of my favorites. That's why we started talking about having this research rave in the first place, is because research is time consuming, and if you're doing it right, you were like all in, and that's hard to devote that kind of time when you are out, when you're working and at home and family responsibilities and, let's throw it out there, pets that will interrupt you, and, and your social activities and everything. It's like you need to be able to say, I want dedicated time to
Mm-hmm.
just work on this. And my gosh, how much can you learn in the 3.5 days that we're going to have in Cincinnati?
Gosh, I'm so excited.
Well, my biggest problem is I don't even know what to work on. I'm bounce around so much. It's like I've got to bring everything. I want to work on it all.
Right. Well, it's so rare that you and I, we're running our own businesses and we're speaking at guilds and we're doing
Right.
workshops at, shows like you do Houston and I do some other smaller shows. And it's hard sometimes to get that dedicated time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whenever we get the opportunity, it is like that. It's like kid in a candy store, right? Like which
Yeah.
stack of papers do I pick up
Yeah.
first?
Yeah. I want all of it, all of
I
it,
want all of it. I want all
all
of
of it.
it.
So, all right. Well, hey, tell me about your quilt. I've seen this quilt before. Well, I don't know if I've seen it in person. I've seen this quilt with you before.
So I think, Lisa, what we should do is I'll do my bit of presentation in a second episode. How about we cut this one here and everyone, we invite you to come back for part two.
Preview of the next episode, hanging right behind Tara.
Hanging right behind me.
Ooh, can't wait to hear about it,
Oh,
guys.
wait till you hear what's in here.
Yeah, because you really can't see it very well. It's going to be great.
Oh, you can't. All right, see you in a minute.
All right.